Book of Ouranothen, Chapter I1. These are the words of Ouranothen. By thy light and dominion, O Jehovah, peace and goodwill be unto all men, with faith in thee, and forbearance toward one another for thy glory. Amen. 2. I come not to abridge liberty, but to give more unto you, with love and wisdom, that the resurrection of men be established on earth as it is in heaven. 3. Him that ye worship under diverse names, placing him afar off, declare I unto you his actual presence, and accord to you much praise and thanks wherein ye worship in truth, fulfilling his commandments, acknowledging there is but one God, even Jehovah. 4. Whether ye say, Brahma, Brahma, or Buddha, Buddha, or Christ, Christ, doing so in reverence to the Almighty, our Creator, practicing good works with all your wisdom and strength, therein do I proclaim your good deeds in heaven. 5. For all of these are the Father's buildings, to bring his children into ultimate resurrection, for joy and glory within his kingdom. 6. Therefore, I come not to take from you any of your gods or saviors, nor to abridge your field of righteousness, but rather to show you a greater glory in comprehending all of them in the plan of the Almighty, to reach the different peoples in all parts of the earth. 7. Pleading with you to be charitable to one another, and more comprehensive in your judgment, putting away egotism and professing amongst yourselves that such of you alone were the favored of Jehovah. 8. First, then his living presence declare I unto you, that he is now, always was, and ever shall be present in all places, worlds without end. 9. Doing by virtue of his presence, quickening into life, and moving all things onward to a wise and definite purpose. 10. Whose presence is everywhere and boundless. 11. That all the living are his sons and daughters. 12. That none are his orphans, but possessed of a Father, part and parcel of your flesh and spirit, even the Creator. 13. Into whose harmony ye are as keys to one instrument, with whom ye can become as one, by practicing his commandments. 14. That herein only is there peace and happiness to any man on earth or angel in heaven. 15. Second, this I also declare unto you, that wherein ye have put the Father afar off, saying such as, there is a divine law, there is a natural law, ye comprehend not the living presence of Jehovah, but profane him and his work. 16. For there is no divine law, nor is there a natural law. 17. But all good things are accomplished by the living presence of the Creator. 18. Things commonly called evil being done by striving to go against him. 19. Third, that Jehovah hath not finished his creations and retired from his works, that wherein ye have said, he tired, or he rested from his works, ye have suffered yourselves to fall, through the errors of language, into profanation of the Almighty. 20. For he is also master over all weariness, and is his own everlasting rest and unrest, beyond the comprehension of mortals and angels. 21. For he is forever bringing together, and forever dissolving and dissipating, worlds without number. 22. Illimitable in soul and spirit, forever quickening into life from his own parts, without loss or waste, or lack of space, and without hindrance. 23. Fourth, that Jehovah is the soul of all, and that ye are as independent atoms of his person. 24. Wherein then shall man say, Behold, my people are the chosen of the Almighty, he hath singled out my people to go forth and redeem the world. 25. I proclaim all people his people, and I say also, Go forth and redeem the world, but not with words only, nor by the sword, nor by armies of destroyers, but by peace and love, and providing remedies for the poor, the afflicted, the helpless and distressed. Chapter I1. These are the words of Ouranothen, in the name of Jehovah, peace and love unto the angels and mortals of earth. 2. Because it hath been demonstrated unto you that the knowledge of man is but his own consciousness of the records that have been written on his body and spirit, so let it be testimony that the affairs of heaven and earth are registered everlastingly on the soul of man. 3. Whether by his own behavior or indulgence, or by the places of his resort, so is he the book of his own dominion in the hands of Jehovah, or else against him. 4. Which shall also be testimony that the eye of the Father is ever upon all men, both in this world and the next. 5. For which reason no man shall say, God cut him off, meaning Jehovah turned away from the evil man. 6. Which is a profanation against the Father, for he turneth not away, nor cutteth he off any man. 7. Nevertheless many cut themselves off by denying him and by not obeying his commandments. 8. And they bring darkness and misery upon themselves, and they cry out, Where is the justice of God? that he afflicteth me? Or why cometh ye not to those that are in distress? 9. And when they are in darkness, they marry and bring forth in darkness and with predisposition to misery and death. 10. For which reason it was said of old that the sins of a man are visited on the third and fourth generations of those that come after. 11. And then crieth out the infidel, Behold the misery of the creatures of God. 12. But I say unto you, all these things were revealed long since, and ye are the testimonies of those that deny the wisdom and glory of Jehovah, your God. 13. What then is the register of the earth? Where shall the Father find an exemplary people? 14. Where you love your neighbors as yourselves, practicing virtue and exaltation in righteousness above all else. 15. For I say unto you, they have cunningly interpreted the revelations of heaven so as to open the door to unrighteous teaching. 16. By saying such and such things are done by divine law instead of being done by the actual presence of the Creator. 17. Persuading themselves that their God had gone away, leaving certain laws to carry on his works. 18. And the ungodly interpreted them, that since God had gone afar off, he saw not the behavior of men, nor registered their deeds in truth as done in the body. 19. For they have been thus led to believe that sin and evil deeds are hid away, and not man, nor angels, nor God know what they have been done. 20. And they have grown up in disbelief, ignoring the person of the Almighty, even though the powers of life and death stand before them. 21. Being addicted to crimes and misdemeanors against one another, in no fear of God the Father, and only restrained by the laws and prisons of man. 22. Whom, therefore, ye ignorantly worship as being afar off, declare I unto you. 23. And that his eye is ever upon you, and that ye are a perpetual register of both the good and evil that ye practice toward one another and in the Father. 24. This is the foundation on which I proclaim Jehovah's kingdom on earth. Without this there is no resurrection, either in this world or the next. 25. And as much as ye establish this doctrine in the understanding of the young, so will ye have laid the cornerstone for the edifice of Jehovah, your Creator. 26. To which end, ye shall put away all such terms as divine law and natural law. 27. And henceforth teach them of the living I am, the Jehovah, who is over all and within all his works, doing by virtue of his presence, call him Lord or God as ye may. Chapter 3. 1. These are the words of Ouranothen. By the power and wisdom of Jehovah in me, I salute you in peace, love and reconciliation with the Father. 2. To make you magnanimous and of comprehensive judgment in discerning the dominion of Jehovah. 3. That ye be not puffed up with your knowledge of the ancient prophets and revelators of God, the Father, saying, his words were revealed of old, the ancient revelations were final. 4. Jehovah is the same today, yesterday and forever, his voice and his hands are with you, he changed not as the wind bloweth. 5. Open your understanding to the living present, the I am, in remembrance of the olden times, when the prophets of God were denied also. 6. For the same things come in every cycle in the travel of the world, and the same doctrines are revealed, embracing the same exalted commandments, proclaiming the actual presence of the Creator unto all men. 7. But they who love not him with all their hearts and souls, and their neighbors as themselves, cry out, we will not have this, let us crucify him. 8. Now, behold, Jehovah's season is manifest amongst all nations and peoples. Do they not cry out against the skepticism of man? And are not their doctrines trembling on their foundation? 9. The enthusiasm they put forth is but for a day. With the death of the preacher his church becometh as the house of a stranger. 10. For they worship not the Father, but bow down before the oratory of man. 11. Wherefore in this day I say unto you the time is greater than of old, for the cycle embraced the whole earth, becoming as one people around about it, so is the light of Jehovah being manifest amongst all nations and peoples. 12. And the skepticism and breaking to pieces in one region of the earth is but a type of the same manifestations in the others. 13. Think not then, with the circumscribing of the earth, Jehovah is not sufficient unto a universal doctrine, adopted to all the inhabitants of the earth. 14. For he plead his angel hosts according to the work he hath at hand. 15. Raising up one man to one work, and another man to another work, appropriating all people to building his kingdom. 16. And he sendeth his angels to man to give him signs and omens, and man saith, I feel it coming, a new advent is at hand. 17. Of which matters the earth is stored with history. 18. As when in Egypt, in the great kingdom, the pharaohs had fortified themselves with learning, and with monuments designed by man to be everlasting. 19. And both angels of darkness and angels of light descended upon that land, and the people were overwhelmed with miracles and necromancy. 20. And the Father called unto the multitude to come out of Egypt, and as many as had faith in him rose up and departed away from that land. 21. Then came darkness upon Egypt, and she went down to destruction. Her temples and places of great learning fell down, or became known no more. 22. Now this declare I unto you, that the same kinds of necromancy and angel manifestations appear in the beginning of every cycle. 23. For the Father suffereth even angels of darkness to appear before men to confound them in their unbelief, and to make them fearful in their unrighteous behavior. 24. And this also happeneth soon after the advent of a cycle, the angels of the second heaven come, calling sinners to repentance, and proclaiming the difference between the higher and lower heavens. And such mortals as have faith in Jehovah, practicing righteousness, are led forth into a new place and holier condition. But such as heed not the voice of the angels of God, go down in darkness. Chapter 4, 1. These are the words of Ouranothen, by the grace and power of the Creator, God of all peoples, faith be unto you and within you, for your own redemption. 2. First come signs and presentiments, then belief, and after that, faith, which is followed by works. 3. And this law is unto all the living, whether man, or bird, or beast, or creeping thing, there being signs and presentiments unto all the living, according to what concerneth them. For, behold, the times of the heaven and earth are made of summers and winters unto all things, a time when the harvest of one revelation or one doctrine cometh to its ripening, and a time afterward when it is gathered in by the Father, and is known no more. 5. To one age God bestoweth revelation on man, according to what is good for man, but when it hath fulfilled its work God gathereth it in, and bestoweth another revelation. 6. Such are the works of Jehovah, nor can man nor angels stay his hand. 7. To Greece, and to Egypt and to India, he gave many gods, according to the necessities of the times and light of man, that man might be raised up through belief and faith, so gave he them gods and doctrines suited to them. 8. And man became tenacious of his gods, verily making idols of them, and depending on the gods and angels to accomplish, by intercession and otherwise, man's ultimate exaltation in heaven. 9. So man ceased to work out his own salvation, depending on his gods to save him, even in his crimes and blasphemy. 10. And Jehovah caused disbelievers and signs and miracles to overrun these peoples, and he raised up new prophets unto them, rebuking them for their unrighteous behavior. 11. The adherents of the past revelations rose up in might and slew the prophets of God, declaring them breakers of the laws of man. 12. Nevertheless, it came to pass with all of these peoples, their many gods went away from them, and the new revelations took root in the persecution and death of God's prophets. 13. Such are the cycles upon the earth, they are as the harvests of the Almighty, which he giveth unto the different periods of his creations. 14. Here is wisdom, O man, to heed the signs of Jehovah's seasons and the march of his dominion on the earth. 15. Not suffering thyself to become bound by things of the past whilst the signs of the Almighty rise up before thee. 16. Nor judge thou the ways of God by the little that is done in a corner, nor by prejudices deep-rooted in thine own understanding, because of thy birth and surroundings. 17. But survey thou abroad over all the earth, considering what is good unto all people, as to whether the doctrines and revelations are powerful enough to abolish poverty and war and all manner of crimes amongst men. 18. This the guide thy Creator gave unto thee, that thou mightst learn to prophesy of the administration of thy God, Jehovah, being the only master of life and death, because whosoever he hath quickened into life is his, and death is his decree in his own time and way. 19. And whosoever cometh between man and his Creator, visiting death unto his brother, waged war against his Creator. 20. Life and death are mine, saith Jehovah. 21. Whoso then presumeth to engage in death no longer fulfilleth the righteousness of God. 22. In which sign thou shalt judge all people who engage in war, and know of a truth whether their doctrines and their gods be appropriate to establishing the Father's kingdom on earth. 23. Not suffering thyself to be blinded by their pretensions and professions of peace, but by their practice, observing if they have more faith in weapons of war and standing armies than in Jehovah 24. This is one of the signs also, in addition to the infidelity and necromancy, wherefrom thou shalt surely prophesy that the doctrines and revelations have fulfilled their time unto mortals. Chapter V1. These are the words of Ouranothen, in the love of God, peace and goodwill be unto you all. Amen. 2. In times past, the Almighty hath bestowed us signs and monuments and histories, whereby ye shall understand the dominion of his word. 3. Because the ancients were bound down by the doctrines and revelations of their predecessors, Jehovah suffered evil-disposed men to fall upon their libraries and destroy them. 4. And man mourned on the earth, saying the light of heaven was consumed. 5. But Jehovah comprehended what was good for man, desiring him not to be bound down to the ancients, but rather that man should be quickened to the ever-present light of God. 6. For man had become like a drowning man, clinging to that which was taking him down under the water. So, only by the destruction of the ancient records could man be persuaded to turn to that which is ever present, even Jehovah. 7. And the like condition hath ever come unto all the ancient gods and men, for men fear to let go from that which is carrying them further and further away from their Creator. 8. This do I also declare unto you, the sum of revelation in each and every cycle hath been to bring man nearer and nearer to the comprehension of the ever-present, to make man know that Jehovah now is, even as he was with the ancients. 9. That man might ultimately have his understanding open, so as to receive his own revelations from his Creator, and from the angels of God. 10. Such being, in fact, the founding of his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. 11. Since, then, direct inspiration shall come from the Father unto all men, how hope ye not to be bound by the revelations of the prophets of old? 12. The same Creator now is, always was and ever shall be. 13. To be as near him, and as much in him, and as much one with him, as were the ancient prophets, shall you not also be one with the Father, to prophesy and to accomplish good works? 14. For if God, the Father, be ever the same, and ye fulfill his requirements as did the ancient prophets, the same result shall happen unto you as to them. 15. To quicken man, therefore, to enter into the living present, instead of leaving him as a follower of the ancient light, is the work of your God. 16. Whereto ye shall join in wisdom and earnestness regardless of self-sacrifice. 17. Now, therefore, when the signs of decadence in the old systems manifest themselves, as for example, when those who are of good mind and sound judgment, having been believers in the ancient doctrines and revelations, but afterward turn away from them because the doctrines are impotent, ye shall know of a truth the new cycle is at hand. End of the Book of Ouranothen.